an experiencer, if you will, then goes off into our world and says how he or she feels about the experiment, or about what they were subjected to, or about what they were shown. But there's a cold, hard, cruel reality involved here that we are being picked up from biological material as an experimental protocol.
Okay, meaning what these people that are being abducted are doing is providing, you know, DNA, providing eggs and sperm so that they can, what, experiment or create their own future beings?
What they're trying to do is they're trying to ameliorate their own neuropathology, which is already starting and is becoming an issue within their populace at their timeline concerning reproduction.
But how many people do they need to figure that out?
Well, as many as what they wanted to take until they get the answer figured out, and they really don't care because it's the old proposition of the anthill along the side of the road in Africa. You know, we are to them, from their perspective, the ants on the anthill, and how would we feel about stepping on one or two ants or a few million ants out of an anthill? It may cause a few people with, I consider, higher intelligence, some moral problems just stepping on them, but, you know, how much would we really care about that? They feel that way about us. They want to use us as biological material, watch us get destroyed to justify their own background, their own history, and at the same time take the biological material from us and solve their own personal present problems.
Okay, but how are we fighting them?
What do you mean?
In other words, you've just told me they have a tremendous amount of control. They're abducting a huge number of people, and they're continuing their experiments.
Well, they have. The numbers who are being abducted now are not treaty related. In other words, there is nobody being taken presently. Zero authorized by treaty. I can't stop them from taking people out of their beds at night, but I did influence the other. Is it rolling?
I'm rolling.
Because H.G. Wells, the epilogue in his Time Machine, the Time Machine by H.G. Wells, I keep this on my desk.
Okay.
It says, one cannot choose but to wonder, will he ever return? It may be that he swept back into the past and fell among the blood-drinking, hairy savages of the age of unpolished stone, into the abyss of the Cretaceous Sea, or among the grotesque saurians, the huge reptilian brutes of the Jurassic times. He may even now, if I may use the phrase, be wandering on some plesiosaurus-haunted oolitic coral reef, or beside the lonely saline lakes of the Triassic Age? Or did he go forward into one of the nearer ages in which men are still men, but with the riddles of our own time answered and its wearisome problems solved? Into the manhood of the race, for I, for my own part, cannot think that these latter days of weak experiment, fragmentary theory, and mutual discord are indeed man's culminating time. I say for my own part, he I know, for the question had been discussed among us long before the time machine was made, thought but cheerlessly of the advancement of mankind and saw in the growing pile of civilization only a foolish heaping that must inevitably fall back upon and destroy its makers in the end. If that is so, it remains for us to live as though it were not so. But to me the future is still black and blank, is a vast ignorance, lit at a few casual places by the memory of his story. And I have by me for my comfort two strange white flowers shriveled now, and brown and flat and brittle, to witness that even when mind and strength had gone, gratitude and a mutual tenderness still lived on in the heart of man. That means a lot to me. I actually hold on to that, and I hold on to that so much as such a prescient bit of thought that I actually keep the flowers from my great-grandmother's grave in there with it. You know, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and all I can do is hope like everybody else and pray like everybody else.
Okay. Well, Thank you, Dan. You know, and I understand that we've actually overtaxed you and asked you, you know, an incredible amount of information here, and you've been very generous. And I really want to thank you.
Well, it's my responsibility to say truth.
Okay. Well, you definitely do that. And what I would like to also say is, how do we fight them? For the people that are out there, and what we know is unity is one way in which we are progressing out of a certain timeline into another, right?
Yes.
Okay. But if you have anything else to add to that for people.
Well, to me, it's unit.
Constant vigilance.
Yes.
Constant vigilance.
That's good. That's very good. Constant vigilance. Also, there are many operatives, not just like Marcia and myself, but many operatives who are coming out of the old Majestic who have had experiences like this. Most of those operatives are not willing to say anything. However, that doesn't mean that they're not doing things. We are acting in concert with some of those operatives and with other groups to try to motivate the information from the inside, which could be used for the beneficial application for humanity, to humanity. And we're doing our very best to motivate that through. And some of it is being seen in very little snippets of it, the projects that we're proposing that are going to be coming in the future, like Argo and ISIS. I guess the only thing I can really say, aside from the constant vigilance, is to act to the right. When a wrong needs to be righted, or there needs to be a stand taken for what is right versus wrong, that our present time doesn't mean that that we're so modern we have to get rid of the ideal for the real. We create our own reality, and so we should, in my view, act toward the ideal to create a better real for ourselves.